Today on the Morning Edition, a search for answers into what caused the deadly crash between a passenger plane and military helicopter above Washington, D.C., what we've learned about the investigation and some of the victims so far.
To let go of your kids, to let them go to an event, and then to not have them come home is just devastating.
A tragedy that hits close to home as the figure skating community mourns the loss of several athletes, coaches, and families on board that passenger jet that crashed near D.C. And later.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
It's showtime.
Well, the ghost with the most is haunting the stage as Beetlejuice hits Broadway here at Anchorage. Get ready for a night of laughs, thrills, and out-of-this-world fun as the Morning Edition starts now. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on a Friday. It's the end of the week. Beetlejuice, a classic. I have not seen the second half. I need to go see it.
I haven't seen any of it, to be honest. But I'd be interested to know if Cassie's coming into work. She said Beetlejuice 3 times.
I don't know, yeah. She's like kind of our resident theater Broadway person.
She really does some good jobs on those stories. Looking forward to hearing more about that. Colder conditions still with us across South Central. May keep you in mind as you step outside with these colder conditions. This is the perfect weather that you want to make sure that you keep your skin moisturized, keep that chapstick handy as well, as those dew points, as they drop well below 20 degrees, that's when you begin to see your skin crack and you see the impacts from those drier conditions. So keep that chapstick handy through today into the weekend. We're waking up this morning to some clear skies. Those temperatures are sitting near 0 degrees once again. So we're still holding on to yesterday and today to be in the 2 coldest days that we've seen so far this season in terms of those temperatures for the overall average. So just keep in mind as you get outdoors, layer up through the remainder of today. We've got temperatures sitting below 0 as you head through the valley out towards the Copper River Basin. And with this dry air, moisture, like most things, tends to move from a place of less, or move from a place from more to less. That's why you tend to see your skin become a lot more chapped into the winter months. In addition to that, you tend to get a lot dehydrated quicker during the winter months than in the summer months because your body's primary response to thirst is sweat, and we don't sweat as much during the winter season. So make sure you do stay hydrated as well. Through the interior, those temperatures this morning sitting anywhere from about 30 to 40 below, and you can see clear skies staying with us. We will be watching a warming trend take hold and snow that will move into the interior through the weekend. But for this morning, that snow is still impacting areas out towards southwest Alaska, which is actually sitting at about 40 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. So snow still with us. That will taper off through the day. We'll see some additional accumulation. You can see those winds still gusting, leading to some lowering visibility, and we're also seeing some localized areas of some fog for parts of southwest Alaska. But that snow does come to an end for you. It will shift to the north out towards Kotzebue. Temperatures still cold across the state, although out west and through southwest Alaska. Notice that warming trend. We're talking about highs in the 20s and the 30s. That's heading east. I'll have more on that in that 7-day coming up.
This morning, the search for victims and answers continues in the wake of the collision between an American Airlines regional jet and a military helicopter near the nation's capital. All 67 people involved are presumed dead, according to officials on the ground. We begin our coverage with Natalie Brand, who has more from Arlington, Virginia.
Dive recovery efforts are expected to resume today in the Potomac River for the victims of Wednesday night's tragic mid-air collision between an American Airlines jet and an Army Black Hawk helicopter. Investigators are also combing through the site collecting evidence. The National Transportation Safety Board says it's analyzing the plane's 2 black boxes, vital pieces in their search for answers.
We want to make sure we get it right. We take our time. We involve a lot of people, a lot of parties.
At the time of the crash, both aircraft were flying at about 400 feet. Military helicopters are supposed to stay below 200 feet. Sources also tell CBS News that just one air traffic control worker was managing helicopter traffic and some planes taking off and landing when the collision happened, a task that's usually handled by 2 different people at that time of day. This was the first major commercial plane crash in the United States in around 16 years. Among those killed, young figure skaters, their parents and coaches returning from a competition and training camp.
I couldn't believe it at first, but after reality sets in, it's tragic.
Memorials of flowers placed in their honor at ice rinks in Northern Virginia and Boston. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Arlington, Virginia.
And as they mentioned, the figure skating community is in mourning, and Olympic athletes are sharing their thoughts on the loss. Keegan Messing, an Alaskan who's represented Canada in multiple Winter Olympic Games, reflects on the impacts of this loss and the deep bond that unites skaters worldwide. Olivia Nordyke has that story.
It was the figure skating crowd that I heard it from first. It wasn't even hearing about the airplane accident, but it was seeing that these kids were on this flight.
Keegan Messing, searching for the words, saying his heart is with the families of the passengers aboard the aircrafts that collided Wednesday in Washington, D.C. As a parent of 2 children, Messing says it's a tragedy all around, but the passengers who were young figure skaters makes it especially hard.
To let go of your kids, to let them go to an event and then to not have them come home is just devastating. I just want to go home and hold my own kids.
U.S. Figure Skating confirmed 14 of the passengers on board the flight from Wichita, Kansas to D.C. were members of the organization. Returning from, Messing says, a huge development opportunity for young athletes.
You get that email or whatever, and it's like the coolest thing, and gosh, these kids, you know, they're just starting down the road of their figure skating career, and to see it end like this it's heartbreaking.
Messing recalls the impact to skating in 1961 after a crash on the way to the World Figure Skating Championships killed 73, 18 of which made up the entire U.S. figure skating team.
This is a hole that's never going to be filled. You know, as I mentioned back in 1961, that tragedy that's happened, that still hasn't been filled. And this one, I want to say, is going to be that much worse. It's going to be something, because it was the next generation, because it was the building blocks of the U.S. team.
Crashes involving commercial planes have become relatively uncommon.
It was a shock, no doubt about it.
Wednesday's collision is the deadliest commercial airline crash in the country since 2001.
The ripple effect from this accident, reached 3,000 miles even up here.
Clint Johnson, Alaska Region Chief of the NTSB, says they've dispatched one of their Alaskan investigators to D.C. to help in what he says will be an investigation that takes anywhere from 18 months to 2 years.
From a very personal standpoint, I am, confident that we're going to find out what happened here, what went wrong, and apply those changes to keep it from happening again.
Olivia Nordyke, Alaska's news source.
You can hear both Keegan Messing and Clint Johnson's full interviews on our In-Depth Alaska podcast. And at Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport Thursday, some travelers were unaware of the news out of D.C. Meanwhile, a few nervous flyers told us they're avoiding thinking about the crash and they didn't want to talk about it. But the majority of the more than 24 people that we talked to said they felt good to fly. Others were focused on just getting to their final destination. New this morning, Alaska state troopers are reporting a record amount of drug seizures in 2024. Detailed in a recently released annual report, says the statewide drug enforcement unit saw a 76% increase in the amount of illegal drugs and alcohol seized from 2023 to 2024, including increases in methamphetamine and fentanyl. The commander of the unit says the use of cocaine is also on the rise.
It's not fentanyl, is what it comes down to. It's not fentanyl. So it's not a safe drug. It's getting mixed with fentanyl, but folks are returning or going to cocaine because it is, in some's mind, deemed as a safer drug now.
Troopers say the amount of drugs coming into the state continues to increase, and stopping the flow is a top priority. Well, Alaska ranked near the bottom in reading and test scores nationwide. That is according to the 2024 National Assessment of Educational Progress Study. So taking a look at the numbers here, out of a possible 500, Alaskan fourth graders scored 214 points in reading and 237 in math. Eighth graders averaged at 257 in reading and 272 points in math. Some say the lack of public education funding and rising inflation are major factors in those low scores.
It's not a situation where you suddenly look at new ideas and introduce new programs and innovate. You just try to hang on to keep the things functioning.
Public education funding is one on the table of the Alaska legislatures this session. Earlier this week, members of the state legislature's House Education Committee began discussions on House Bill 69. If passed, the bill would increase per student funding, also known as the base student allocation. Cold temperatures have us turning up the heat. An agency that helps connect people with vital services says help with heat and utility bills are some of its most requested needs. The Alaska 211 line is a statewide referral service. It's run by United Way. In the case of utility bills, the agency has a database with as many as 70 partners around the state, all of who provide some sort of energy assistance.
Many of those providers have different types of eligibility qualifications. Some can be helped once, some can be helped more than once. So it just really varies. All of that information is in the database.
211 operators help people find programs they qualify for and also what funding those programs might have. Well, coming up, a little cold snap isn't stopping some Alaskans from making the most of fresh powder. We'll show you how some skiers are embracing the winter chill. And shedding light on one of Alaska's most spectacular natural wonders and unlocking the mysteries of the Northern Lights.
That cold weather remains with us across the state, although warmer conditions are beginning to shift east. We're already seeing areas out towards southwest, nearly 40 degrees warmer. I'll have more on that. But first, sunrise, 9:20 in Anchorage, 9:37 in Fairbanks. Your full forecast is next.
We're back here on your Friday. It seems like these last few days have all been equally cold, but yesterday was the coldest day that Anchorage has seen since last February, but that certainly didn't stop people from getting out. Well, skiers enjoyed the little bit of fresh powder and clear blue skies at Kincaid on Thursday. Temperatures at the park were near zero in the morning, only reaching about 5 degrees by the afternoon. After record heat last week, temperatures are finally cold enough to not only keep the snow on the ground, but certainly cold enough for the Nordic Skiing Association to make fresh snow as well. But some winter lovers are still hoping that we get more widespread natural snow soon.
Well, we'd like to see some more snow, certainly for, with the cross-country ski community. It would be nice to see some snow to cover the trails for the Tour of Anchorage and some of the other races, but who knows?
Well, we won't see any more snow in the next week, but temperatures will stay well below freezing through the first week of February, I'm told. I've got it in with the meteorologist. And Aaron, like we said, it's been in these cold single digits. So, 20s would even feel kind of like a warm up.
Yeah, and it's nice to finally get outdoors and enjoy some of that winter weather, particularly for those who like to get outside and do some of those winter sports. Now, we are going to stay on the dry side, even with that warmer weather heading our way into the weekend and next week, and not looking likely for the time being that we've got any snowfall or any form of precipitation in the forecast for South Central. Check out towards southwest Alaska, where we're seeing those temperatures already warming into the 20s out towards Bethel. That's that nose of warm air that's going to begin to push eastward across the state here over the next couple of days. And we're going to see those temperatures climbing back into the teens for Fairbanks and the interior as we welcome in next week. Here in South Central, we'll see those temperatures easily climbing back into the 20s. 20 degrees warmer as you head out towards King Salmon. Bethel actually about 50 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. All up along the western coast, those temperatures continuing to warm, and those will shift east. You can see even out towards Fairbanks and Northway, we continue to see those temperatures continue to remain fairly cold. We're nearly 15 degrees colder in Fairbanks, Northway nearly 30 degrees colder, and here in Anchorage, we're just a degree colder than yesterday. Even colder conditions settling into southeast, where we're expecting to see the return to the possibility for some single-digit lows and highs as we welcome in the weekend. So two things I wanted to draw your attention to. The additional snow we continue to see through western Alaska and this ridge. This ridge is going to shift east, and that's going to directly impact our weather as we welcome in the weekend and next week. We're going to see most of the snow continuing to impact areas across western Alaska, out towards Kotzebue, parts of the northwest Arctic borough. Be prepared for some of that heavier snowfall and some areas of blowing snow as we welcome in your weekend. And then some snow will ride on the northern periphery of that ridge into the weekend and lead to some light snow accumulation through parts of the interior. So expect to see about 1 to 2 inches of that snow accumulation for parts of Fairbanks and surrounding locations. But we do stay dry here in South Central, and there is no snow or any form of precipitation in the forecast over the next week. But you can see there's that snow riding along the northern side of that ridge building into the interior as we welcome in the weekend. Winds will continue to gust out west and through the Aleutians, upwards of about 50 miles per hour. But as that ridge shifts to the east, this southerly flow will build back in across South Central, and that's going to lead to our rising temperatures as we welcome in the weekend and next week. And there is that ridge, nowhere near the warmth that we did see for a large portion of the month, but we will see those temperatures climbing back into the 20s. The warmer conditions stay with us. Sunshine also stays with us, although we'll see a bit more cloud coverage next week, and we do stay on the drier side. Looking at Fairbanks, you can see those temperatures steadily warm. We're near 0 degrees tomorrow, 11 degrees by Sunday. There's that 1 to 2 inches of snowfall looking possible. And then we climb into the teens next week with that warming trend taking hold. Clear and cold, another day to be expected to get outdoors with plenty of sunshine. Teens and 20s as you head out towards the coastal regions outside of Kodiak, which we'll see highs near freezing. The gaps and passes from Valdez, Whittier out towards Seward. It will be another breezy day for you where those winds could gust upwards of 40 miles per hour. Parts of the valley, like yesterday, could see those temperatures staying below 0. And then we are going to see that warming trend take hold into the weekend. We're in the teens as we welcome in Saturday and Sunday. We may make it to 10 today, but still on the colder side. And there's that next week, those temperatures warming near seasonal values, but no snow in the forecast.
Yeah, but the sunshine's been nice, though.
It's going to be enjoyable to get outdoors.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Covering the interior and unlocking the mysteries of the Northern Lights, northeast of Fairbanks, Poker Flat Research Range is expected to see the launching of 3 NASA research rockets in the coming days. Alex Bengal has more on what they hope to learn.
Launching 200 miles into the air, the 3 rockets are each expected to study a different kind of aurora, all part of the greater picture, conditions in the space around Earth.
We have a lot of satellites up there, and this is just one small piece of the bigger puzzle of trying to understand what's happening up there and understand that environment better.
The goals of the project are to learn more about 3 different kinds of aurora: fast pulsating, flickering, and black aurora. Each rocket is assigned to a different type. But before these can be launched, conditions must be right: clear skies and favorable winds. According to one of the researchers, knowledge of the aurora comes in handy as mankind continues to occupy more and more space around the Earth, which comes with risks.
We understand the basic principles of how it works, but even though we know that, it turns out we know very little about the details. And the more we study different aspects of aurora, we realize how much we don't know.
The launch window assigned to the projects runs from January 21st to February 5th. So far, no rockets have been launched. Samara expects results will raise even more questions, even as others are being answered. Alex Bengal, Alaska's news source.
While flying in darkness above 260 miles above the Arabian Sea, NASA astronaut Suni Williams became the world's most experienced female spacewalker. Williams surpassed the previous record for cumulative spacewalking time by a woman, 60 hours, 21 minutes, that had been set by former NASA astronaut Peggy Whitson.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically, and stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.